Today on With the First Pick, it's October 31st, and we're celebrating Halloween in the most traditional way possible by dressing up and doing a live mock draft. I'm Ryan Wilson. That's Rick Spielman. This is episode 194. And before we get going, football fortune teller.
Do not put that up there. Do not. I don't want to see it. Take it down.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. I didn't follow the rules. You're the football fortune teller. So you tell us, football fortune teller, how many days until the 2025 NFL draft? What is going on?
Mr. Bird, how many days? Ryan Wilson, without looking, there is 175 days left until the 2025 NFL draft.
There it is.
Thank you, Bird.
That's football fortune teller. I'm Rick Spielman. This is wild. Before we get going, football fortune teller. It's a little hot in here, so I gotta take my jacket off. And there we go. There's Rick Spielman walking around the office at work. Nothing's working here. All right. Woo. That's a lot of work for Halloween. You're not a Halloween guy necessarily. I'm not a Halloween guy necessarily, but I will say, Debo, if we're grading costumes, I feel like football fortune teller went above and beyond.
With the background, could I even get a kudos with the background? I went to see a lady on the island. Her name is Jenny Jones, and this is her passion. And I said, I just need something to throw on for today's shows. And sure enough, she came running down with all kinds of costumes, and she did the background with the hands and with the crystal ball and with the signs and with the curtains. I mean, it's like, okay, we're going all in. There's no, it's either in or out. So she decided to definitely go all in. So kudos to her for getting me into this outfit, because I actually, you'll appreciate this. I went over to her house last night, and before I had to go pick my daughter up at work, and my daughter works at the local grocery store on the island called Jerry's, and I went in dressed like this.
Oh, you did not?
Well, isn't it a job for the fathers of the world to embarrass their daughters?
Well, that's true.
So
that's fair enough.
She's working at the cash register checking someone out, and I just walked in, and she just like froze, like she didn't know who I was at first.
That poor girl.
Like, did you ever hear, Dad, you are so embarrassing? And then some lady walked by me, and she goes, where's the party? I go, what party? So I dress every day on the island. You should see what I wear to the beach.
Yeah, I'm a football fortune teller. This is just an average Tuesday for me. Debo, I now remember who I thought Rick was initially. Cam Newton. With that big hat on, that's a crazy outfit. Rick is Cam Newton. I'm his Rick Spielman. Football fortune teller. Hey, Debo, will you throw up that graphic that I just sent you? I want to show Rick how the evolution of the Rick Spielman costume came about. So I ordered this the other day, just sitting around on Amazon. I ordered this wig and these granny these granny glasses. And I didn't tell anyone I was doing it in my family, because for obvious reasons. And my wife was just scrolling through Amazon looking at our orders. And out of the blue, she yells across the house, "Why did you order a Rick Spielman costume?"
She did.
That's the first thing that came to mind for her. So
wow.
The glasses, which are skeleton old men costume glasses, granny dress-up eyeglasses also. So if you're looking for to recreate this Rick Spielman outfit, just cut off a nice shirt and get yourself a nice head of hair.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you look very young with hair. Much younger.
Thank you. It was I tell you what, it's a lot of work to get it looking like you want it to. As you well know. The other thing I'll know, the reason I cut these sleeves off this shirt, I didn't know this, but Rick told me in Debo last episode that his former employees used to dress up as Rick Spielman. One of the things was spilling coffee all over their shirt, which I get. But also, I didn't know you walked around without sleeves on your dress shirts.
Well, sometimes, it is what it is. What are you going to do? Everybody has fun. It's a hard enough business as it is there, Rick. So just go out there and have fun.
So like this podcast, it's tough enough as it is. We might as well try to lighten the mood a little bit. Hey, Debo, anyone in the office have a better costume than Rick to your from what you've seen so far?
We had the Australian breakdancer from the Olympics.
Well done.
We have not had any of the pole vaulters like Rick wanted to dress up as.
I wanted to be a pole vaulter, but I was rejected.
Yeah.
Mike Renner dressed up as Kyle Long and got a bald cap. So next time,
that's what that was. I thought he was wearing a do-rag. Okay, that's disrespectful.
Rick, if you want to dress up as Ryan, we have some access to some bald caps.
I will say this quickly, and then we'll get going. I haven't watched baseball in forever, but I did watch the game 5, I think it was, of the Yankees Dodgers after the incident in the stands. And my new favorite player is Mookie Betts because he has the same haircut I do. A little better athlete.
Yeah,
a little more.
But yeah, I can see a similarity. I'm sure you get called Mookie where you walk around the Cuse.
I saw him on television for the first time that I had on. It's like, why aren't more people calling me Mookie Betts? But congratulations to the Dodgers. Sorry, Yankee fans. Maybe next year. All right.
It was a little
Anything else, Rick?
No, it was just a little bit of an arse whipping by the Dodgers, in my opinion.
Well, it was 5-0, and then the wheels fell off, and then woo-wee. I think the curse. They're calling it the curse. The dummy in right field. That's what happened.
Yeah.
They grabbed Mookie's hand in Game 4. All right, Debo, we ready to do this thing? It's my draft time, fellas. Usually on Thursday, we do the weekly WTFP college football QB rankings. So this week we'll incorporate our top 5. Not a lot's changed. Rick has one change. My top 5 are unchanged. Some bad QB play last week for some of these guys, but we'll talk about that in the course of doing this mock draft. The rules are pretty simple. Rick's going to pick first. I'll pick second. And we'll alternate. And Rick, knowing that, and you don't have to necessarily assume as of right now. You can look a little bit ahead into the future, maybe January, how you think things are going to play out in terms of the quarterback race. The world is your oyster, sir. All right, you're up. First overall, I'm laughing because of the stupid hair in my face. First overall pick, the Carolina Panthers. No real shock there. Mr. Spielman, general manager, what are you doing?
Boy, this was a difficult one for me. I am going to go under the assumption that they keep Bryce Young and they try to resurrect him. I mean, he did play a little better last week. He had 2 touchdowns with the 2 interceptions, but the rest of the team is not very good overall. So, but I am not giving up on Bryce Young yet. So I'm going to keep Bryce Young, even though I had him projected to get traded in the last podcast we had. So I am going to go with the best athlete on the board. And to me, it's a no-brainer. It's the number 1 overall pick, Travis Hunter.
I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. At any point during the draft process, you start hearing fans yelling and screaming, maybe calling the ticket office saying they're going to cancel season tickets if you don't draft a quarterback. When that stuff happens, do you just ignore it or do you take it into consideration?
No, you're going to have to answer those questions at the press conference, but you got to do what's best for your organization.
Okay.
And a lot of times the fans will get excited about a person and think you got an A grade for who you took, and it ended up being a D grade 3 years later. So you spend a lot of money, a lot of opinions to put together what's best for the organization. And just to be honest with you, I'm going to trust everybody in that building than I am people outside the building.
Okay. And that's how you end up on a draft podcast.
And people dressing up like you, even in your afterlife.
Football fortune teller has spoken. All right, next up, I believe it's the Tennessee Titans. Yeah, boy. Similar situation in terms of what you're going to do with the quarterback. Similar draft class. First pick of the second round, or second pick of the second round, Will Levis. He's been injured, so he hasn't really done what they wanted to do. Mason Rudolph hasn't been the answer there. So, oh my gosh, this is already tough. And as you've noted, Rick, I crack under pressure when it comes to getting the right player. But I'm not going to overthink this.
Take Cam Ward. The future.
I'm going to take Cam Ward. I like Shedeur a little better. Cam's 1B for me, but I like the upside of Cam Ward. I like his quiet confidence. I think Brian Callahan will like him as well.
The football future teller is on his game today. I knew you were going to take him.
This is too much. All right, football future teller, FFT. New England Patriots. They do not need a quarterback. They probably would have loved Travis Hunter, but they certainly have some needs up front as well.
Yeah, I can go offensive line here very easy. I could go receiver. They have no playmakers. I'm going to go with the most solid pick in the draft. That's going to line up and play left tackle for me for the next 10 years, barring any injury. I'm going to go with Will Campbell.
Yeah,
left
I'm coming around.
LSU.
Left tackle LSU, that's right. I'm coming around to him. I like him. I like Kelvin Banks too, but I think they're close. But I think Will Campbell has played exceptionally well this season. And plus, I gave you the best comp ever for him, Andrew Whitworth, also from LSU.
Yeah, very good comp there, buddy.
All right, number 4, the New York Jets.
I forgot you're me, so I have to be respectful. I have to be very complimentary of all the things you're doing. Excellent job so far, Rick. Very good.
You're a genius. So you said shortly after the Devontae Adams trade that you did not believe that Aaron Rodgers and or Devontae Adams would be back in 2025, correct?
Correct.
I tend to agree with that given the way the season's going, and it ain't going great, even post Devontae Adams. They have to get a quarterback. And I think there's a lot of issues facing this team, and it's not just one position. It goes all the way up to the top if we're being frank about it. But I'm going to take Shedeur Sanders. He feels like New York City is a good fit for him in terms of his personality and sort of the stuff we talk about outside the field with him, and not necessarily in a bad way, but I think he's best equipped perhaps to go in there and try to affect change. And he can certainly play behind a crappy offensive line. No disrespect to Colorado. They've gotten better this year, but let's be real. He's taken a ton of hits. So Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, Colorado, going to the Jets. Next up at number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I can go corner here. I have to go on the defensive side of the ball. They got 2 edge rushers, although they haven't played as well. Walker is getting a little better, but they cannot stop the run. They've been struggling on the defensive side of the ball. They need help in the interior defensive line, and Mason Graham is the obvious choice. As a football future teller, I don't know how anyone else can see the future without Mason Graham wearing a Jacksonville Jaguars uniform from the University of Michigan.
FFT has spoken. The New Orleans Saints. I don't know. There's not going to be 3 quarterbacks going to the top 6. That would feel almost crazy at this point. So I'm not gonna push that narrative. But man, they have some needs. Trevor Penning isn't the answer. Let's start building the offensive line. He's been a little better this year, but he hasn't worked out as well as they had hoped. I'm going to take Kelvin Banks, tackle out of Texas.
A fine pick, Rick.
I like this. I like the role reversal, Debo. I get a little more respect when you have hair. I think that's the social experiment. If you have hair, people take you seriously.
Yeah. No, you're much more. Yeah.
Much more believable, trustworthy.
Yeah, intelligence, all the whole ball of wax.
Handsome. All right, you're the Las Vegas Raiders, and they desperately need a quarterback. And before you answer, Tom Telesco, general manager, who has zero history of trading up, you might have to trade up, correct?
If I wanted to, those 2 were the 2 only, in my opinion, right now, the only 2 quarterbacks worthy of the first round. I have everybody else out of the first round right now. So Tom is very good at selecting good football players, following his board. He did last year with Bowers, who is incredibly, has 52 catches already this year, leading the NFL, not only tight ends, but the entire NFL.
Yep.
So I say he's going to still stay true to his board. He's not going to reach on a quarterback, although they desperately need one. I can see him maybe getting aggressive coming back in the bottom half of the first round to get one of those quarterbacks down there, but it's too rich for me right now to take a quarterback. So I need, for my future quarterback, whoever that may be, and I know who it's going to be because I am the football future teller. I can't reveal that right now, but I am going to take a receiver that will help this offense. Even though I know I need defensive help, I could go corner here. I can go receiver here. I went offensively to go along with Bowers. I'm going to take McMillan, the receiver from Arizona.
That's a good pick.
Thanks, Rick.
You got it. FFT. All right. T-Mac going to Vegas. Arizona receiver. Next up, number 8, the Cleveland Browns. All right. Let's see what we got. Jameis Winston's a fun story. I don't know if it's sustainable. I mean, they could have kept Joe Flacco and had similar results, I would imagine. There's the whole situation about the salary cap with Deshaun Watson and what that looks like. All right. They also need some help along the offensive line, but I don't know if that's necessarily something they're going to solve at this point. How about we continue to get better? You know what? This is what I'm going to do, Rick. FFT, excuse me. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking in third person.
Yes.
This is what Rick's going to do. I love the idea of Nick Chubb coming back. And he's incredibly important to what they do. But is he 100%? Rick doesn't like it, or FFT doesn't like it. But look, man, you can't take a quarterback here. You got to find a way to figure that out. Ease the burden for whoever the quarterback is. Two-headed monster, FFT. Nick Chubb and Ashton Genty.
Oh, boy, there it goes. Running back going in the top 10. I know our buddy Pete Prisco will really appreciate that pick from you. Get ready to hear the wrath of the fans out there, along with Pete leading the group of pitchforks and torches coming at your doorstep for taking a running back in the top 10.
I'm fine with that. Bijan went 8.
I see that in your future.
This is wild. Bijan went 8. Jameer went 12. You could argue Jameer should have gone higher, correct?
Yeah, you can argue that.
Yeah. Okay.
People are going to be searching mock draft on YouTube in like 3 weeks, and this is going to pop up. And they're going to be like, what?
It's another day at the office with the first pick.
Wait till you see what we dress up like next Tuesday, fans.
Oh, man.
I hope this is a good amount of fans' first exposure to Rick and Ryan or Ricky and FFT.
Yeah, I just noticed that. He could. My name is Ricky Spielman. Did anyone ever call you Ricky growing up? It was always Rick.
No, they called me a lot of other things, but not. Yeah, some people would call me Ricky. I've been called Spoono. I've been called Otto. I have a lot of aliases that I go by.
What'd your parents call you?
Huh? My dad called me Spoon. My mom, when I was in trouble, called me Richard. And yes.
All right. Well, you're talking to Ricky now. All right, you're up, FFT. The Giants are picking at 9. What are you doing?
I can't take a quarterback here, although the guy that I think that the Giants would like, even though he hasn't had a great year, would be Carson Beck, but I can't go there. I just can't. Now,
I'm sorry. Let me make sure I heard you right. You said Carson Beck's having a great year?
No, I said Carson Beck is having a down year.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Gotcha.
I'm talking about how did the Giants move forward, and the number one thing that's holding them back right now is the quarterback position. So here is my bold future prediction that after that debacle that we saw versus Texas, Carson Beck's going to come out of guns a-blazing, finish up strong down the stretch here, and the New York Giants are going to take Carson Beck. I'll go with that. And I'm looking at that, not today, but when we talk about this at the end of the year.
Well done. You followed the rules.
Thank you.
Now, this just follows up with a potential dollar bet situation. Do you think 3 quarterbacks go in the top 10?
Today? No. End of the season? Yes.
Do you want to make that dollar bet now, or do you want to wait?
Can I just see if my future telling?
You got it. You got it up here. You figure it out.
Yeah, I know. A little birdie told me to take Carson Beck for the New York Giants.
And you guys do already have Carson Beck an over-under of 10.
Oh, there we go.
I'm going to stick with that. A little birdie told me to stick with that. Stick to your guns.
All right, we'll do one more, and then we'll take a quick break. At some point, Debo, we need to do the side-by-side of football fortune teller and Cam Newton, because I just can't not get this out of my head at this point. All right, this is easy for me. I was a little nervous with the pick you were going to make there. You took the quarterback for the Giants. They've had some issues at this position the last week or so because of effort. I'm taking Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan, to go to the Miami Dolphins at 10. You okay with that?
Yeah, because that was my pick for the Giants. And then I'm going to say Banks actually plays harder now that he's got embarrassed. But I went with a quarterback. So, yes, I would take Will Johnson there.
So they actually benched Deonte Banks after he tried to tackle Najee, and Najee hurdled him. It's around that time. I don't know if that was the specific reason. I agree with you. I thought he played with more effort than he did the game before, where everyone was angry at him. I'm not sure why he was benched. I didn't see what Brian Daboll said, but I don't think you're going to bench someone for not wanting to go high on Najee Harris, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know the whole backstory and what's going on. behind the scenes or in the
That's
office,
good.
practice habits, showing up for meetings on time. We don't know all that.
Well, you should know it, future football teller.
I'll ask my bird.
Yeah, ask the bird. Fine about that. We'll take a quick break. The birdie will talk to football fortune teller. We'll be back right after this.
CBS Sports HQ, giving you college football coverage unlike anyone else.
We're talking Big Ten.
Pre- and post-game coverage.
Are you encouraged with the way that this team responded?
Along with breaking news.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
Highlights and expert analysis.
That streak could be in jeopardy here.
Sure. What was your main takeaway from this game? How impressive was his domination?
That really changed the football game.
Let's go ahead and have some more fun.
Another wild ending.
The chaos continues.
Turn to CBS Sports HQ.
I just did some push-ups, so I'm ready to go, Rick. Gun
Yeah.
show's open.
Perfect. Yeah. Show them like the highway. So what do you take? 95 over?
Did you get tickets to the gun show?
Yes.
All right. Back at it, Debo. What we got? What's number 11?
Cincinnati Bengals. Thank you,
Okay.
Bert.
Of course, you knew that one, football fortune teller.
I can go edge here. I can go D tackle here because they're struggling ever since the reader went to the Detroit Lions. You know what I'm going to do? Knowing, let me think. I'm going to go out of the box here.
Okay.
All right. I am going to go Duke. And that front office in Cincinnati loves the Big Ten, loves Ohio State players, but they're going to go to that team up north. And I'm going to say this is a reach going with Kenneth Grant from Michigan because they need to by the inside of that defensive line.
I don't hate that at all. I thought you were going to say the tight end. I was going to get a little.
No.
Wait a second here. No, I don't hate that at all.
So thank you, Rick. I appreciate it. With all your experience, your 30-some years plus years.
Got more than 30 years of experience.
In the front offices of the NFL, GM for decades. I really respect your opinion on that. So it makes me feel good about my pick.
You know what's funny, young man? I surrounded myself by a bunch of yes men, so I always felt good about myself when I was walking the halls in Minnesota. All right, next up. The Los Angeles Rams. This is a team that was supposedly trading everyone, and they won a football game, and they're right back in the mix, man. They're playing some good football right now. Oh, boy. So, it's disheartening for me. The little drop-off at offensive tackle once you get past the top two guys. It's not like it was last year. Defensively, this team is pretty solid up front. I mean, if we keep drafting edge rushers and defensive linemen, how many guys do you need there? Oh, man. Then there's a little drop-off at cornerback. But you know what? I don't think this is too high. I'm going to get better on the back end. I'm going down to Athens, Georgia. I'm taking Malachi Starks.
What a great pick. It's amazing to watch a football mind go through and make the selections that you're making right now. Every pick is an A+ in my opinion.
Could not agree more. Football
and I, as a fortune teller, know that you, as Rick, do not use pluses. But I'm telling you, Rick, that from me and from the vibes I'm getting and from my bird, he's saying, give Rick A+. He needs to know how well he's doing through this mock draft.
Debo, I think what I've learned is that when Rick's in character, he's much more manageable. I like this. Rick. All right, football fortune teller. The Dallas Cowboys, a team in disarray.
Oh, God.
Picking 13th.
Yeah, that they could have done, if I didn't take Grant, I would have took Grant here because they need help to stop the run. I mean, they're like a sieve right now on defense. I could have went easily with Starks, the safety that you just took. But I got Micah Parsons coming up. I'm going to have to pay him a lot of money. I don't have another edge rusher to go with him. So I am going to go not with James Pierce from Tennessee. The kid that's really popping up to me is I'm going to go with Abdul Carter from Penn State.
Golly, that's a good pick. Good pick.
Thank you.
You got it.
Rick, not only are you a nice guy and handsome, but you are very complimentary on making people feel good about themselves on this podcast.
I'm all about that. Uplifting everyone. Except for that idiot Ryan Wilson that used to work here. That guy was a dope.
He got better though. I gave him an A for effort, even though effort.
Yeah, he tried. It just wasn't working out. I think Debo sold him down the river, finally got him fired. He did the right thing.
Debo scurried down his Ivy, stomped him with his hard shoes and went back up the Ivy Tower.
Yeah, he would. Debo, I figured out. I often say, when you go to a new place, find out who the Littlefinger is from Game of Thrones in your company, and then keep an eye on him. Ryan Wilson found out too late that Debo was Littlefinger, so he paid the ultimate price. But luckily, Rick's here to help.
Is
podcast
is he like Mini-Me from Austin Powers movie?
I think he's more Austin Powers. I mean, he's more Dr. Evil.
Oh, he's not Mini-Me? Is that
all right? Next up, the Indianapolis Colts, another team that seems to enjoy self-inflicted wounds. Let me ask you this, football fortune teller, before I make the pick, just quickly, sort of an overreactions inside the mock draft here. The sense seems to be among the players that no one knew, including Anthony Richardson, that he was going to be benched. I think eventually Shane Steichen had called Anthony into the office and told him, didn't give him a reason why. The players found out, some of them did on social media. Is that the best way to go about making a change like this?
No, you talk to the player, and then the decision you make, I think that it's important for the head coach to address it at a team meeting. You have a team meeting, although Monday and Tuesday, I don't know when the decision was made. But even if it was made before Wednesday's team meeting and it was out there, I would have made sure that I addressed it with the team.
Just feels like an unforced error. Then now you have to answer more questions. Players are left sort of figuring out what is and what isn't happening. And right or wrong, I don't know. But it seems odd to me that you wouldn't give Anthony Richardson a reason, but maybe that's how it works. Shane Steichen said just work hard, basically, is the sense I got from the conversation Anthony told the reporters.
Yeah, and I don't know, again, you'll not know on the outside what was actually said, but maybe it's a reset for him. Maybe he can sit and learn, because out of all the quarterbacks that came out in that draft class, he was the farthest away from being ready to play. So maybe they did it too fast, and he got to sit last year, but you can't count it because he wasn't able to practice because he was injured reserve. So that really delayed his development as well. But under Joe Flacco, you're going to learn, and I'm sure he's been watching, but how you get prepared for a game, how you interact with your teammates in the locker room and in a meeting and on the practice field. So hopefully he'll take this as opportunity to learn from someone who's had a very, very good career.
Yep. No more of this. No more tapping out.
No.
Being tired.
That is.
All right. So the Colts are on the clock.
Can I'm going to go. Or I've got to get through it, right? Like I could come out and say, hey, I think I pulled my jaw muscle because we've been talking too much and I've been rickabustering. Instead of just saying, hey, I'm tired. I need a break. Debo, I won't do this. Yeah.
I don't know which part of the Cam Newton hat you have to tap to come out, because that's a big hat. All right. I love that hat. Here's what's going to happen for me with the Colts. And I think they picked, 14th last draft when they took Leatu Latu, the first defensive player off the board. I'm going back to defense. I'm taking Georgia linebacker, Jalen Walker.
Oh, boy. The guy that you had in the 40s a couple weeks ago?
38, yeah. No, you sold me on him. He's obviously playing out of his mind, and he's versatile. He doesn't necessarily have to play off-ball linebacker, so he can line up anywhere. Next up at 15, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who've hit a rough patch here with injuries.
Yeah, I'm thinking edge here, but I'm also thinking receiver. Godwin's done for the year, out of contract. Mike Evans is getting long in the tooth, may have one more year left, but you have to give some weapons around Baker Mayfield because he's resurrected his career. Scroll down just a hair, Debo. I don't think Burden, Bond. Okay, stop. I'm going to go with Ekbuka.
Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State.
Yes, I think he's the most polished. He reminds me out of any of these guys similar to Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I could have taken Pierce here very easily, and I probably gave you, Rick, a layup, but I went with the receiver just to get Baker Mayfield more help.
Here's the thing. I like James Pierce. I like Mikael Williams a little better. He should still be on the board out of Georgia, the edge rusher. There he is right there. So let's take Mikael Williams out of Georgia. He also had a great game when we talked about Jalen Walker a few weeks ago. And if he's healthy, and, Rick, you talk about their FFT, you talk about this a lot. You got to stay healthy. He can be a game changer, but he's got to stay on the field. All right, at number 17, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock.
Boy, I know they could use D-tackle help now. They put a lot of money. They're not going to go receiver. Go back to corner, Debo. I am going to say look at the corners left. I know Benjamin Morrison is coming off an ACL. So is my East Carolina, Siobhan Ravel Jr.
Yep.
So I am going to go with I'm going to change. I'm going to go with Pierce. I'm going to take them that they take another edge rusher.
I didn't know if you're going to break out Igbinosun. I thought I was waiting for that one.
Nope. I'm going to go with Pierce.
All right, James Pierce, edge rusher out of Tennessee. Headed to the 49ers. Next up, Chicago Bears at 18. Coming off a disheartening loss. I shouldn't laugh. At Washington on that Hail Mary throw that we'll be talking about forever. So, they drafted Kieran Amagaje out of Yale. We talked to him at the Combine when they didn't draft an offensive tackle in the first round because, of course, they took Roma Dunze. But they could also go edge rush here. And I'm going to go with Nick Scorton, excuse me. Edge rusher out of Texas A&M. Purdue transfers. He's had a really good season. And I think that fills the need. They weren't able to fill as quickly as they wanted to. They drafted Austin Booker, I believe, in the 4th round. Is that right?
Yep.
And he's a developmental guy. He can still be really good. But for now, Scorton is going to join Montez Sweat. At number 19, Arizona Cardinals are on the clock.
Yeah, they need help on the defensive side of the ball. I think one of their weaknesses is definitely corner. I think that Morrison is probably the most talented as far as in press man coverage and being able to cover this guy or that guy. Burks is also, I think he's going to rebound after the debacle against the Oregon Ducks a couple weeks ago.
All right. Next up at number 20, before we take a break here, the Los Angeles Chargers playing some pretty good football. Justin Herbert looks like he's franchise quarterback. Mr. Harbaugh is doing a good job turning that program around. Here's what we're going to do, Rick. I'm going to keep giving him weapons. And we're sitting here at 20, and this young man is somehow still on the board. Debo knows what's up. At number 17 on this big board that we're using here on the mock draft database simulator, wide receiver out of Missouri, Luther Burden. Him with Ladd. I think Josh Palmer might be in the final year of his deal. I'll have to double check. They have Quentin Johnson, who's gotten a little better, the former first-round pick. But I feel like you can give him more weapons. I could have gone with the tight end here out of Michigan as well, Colston Loveland. But I'm going to go with Luther Burden, who I think – is this one of the situations, Rick, where it's hard to get a feel for who Luther is because the quarterback play has been inconsistent at times?
Yeah, it is. It's very difficult. So, but he is with an explosive playmaker when he has the ball in his hands.
Okay, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Football Fortune Teller will tell you and me who the Atlanta Falcons are going to take at number 21 right after this.
Welcome to JJ's.
I'll have a... Wait, there's no way I can get a burger?
No chance. But you can have the NFL on CBS streams live on Paramount+. Oh, hang on. There's a toy.
All right. Ricky Spielman back here with Football Fortune Teller down the home stretch here on our Halloween special with the First Pick mock draft show. The Atlanta Falcons, I think, have been exceeded expectations, at least for me. Kirk Cousins got off to a rocky start in week 1, but he's playing better. But they're now on the clock here at number 21. Rick, they are tied atop the division, I believe, in the NFC South. What are they doing here at 21?
They have to go to the defensive side of the ball. Debo, can you put up the edge, please? They need an edge rusher. Judon hasn't been as good. The Trice from Washington last year, who they took, is coming off an ACL. So I'm going to say they're going to add to their Pass rush, and I am going to go scroll down a little bit, Debo. No. Okay, I'm going to just play it safe, and I'm going to go with Jack Sawyer, who's had a really good year for Ohio State this year.
Okay.
Solid.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Steady Eddie, can make plays.
All right. Denver Broncos are on the clock at 22. They, of course, have Bo Nix, and he's played better each and every week. He'll get some tests coming up. They have the Ravens, the Chiefs, and then the aforementioned Falcons. So we'll get a sense of who he is. Just put a whooping on the Panthers. Make of that what you will. He made the plays that were in front of him, so congratulations for doing that at the very least. They need some more weapons, Rick. And Luther Burden would have been a choice here, but I'm going to give him some – he likes to throw short, so I'm going to give him a weapon that he can throw short too. Tight end out of Michigan, Colston Loveland.
Oh, very good. One of my favorite guys in the draft.
Ricky did it again.
Rick, you are on fire today.
I think I get smarter with the hair. I have more confidence. That's what it is.
Yeah. I don't know how you're doing a podcast.
Hey, if any teams are looking for a general manager, I'm back on the market, baby.
Give him a shot at the guns.
And I'll bring along Cam Newton with me. He'll be my assistant.
And my
All
bird.
right. What'd you say? And the bird, right. Yeah. Worst comes to worst, we can just take the bird. We'll leave Cam back at the island. Look at that hat, Debo. All right. At 23, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. They're coming off a tough loss against the Jameis Winstons in Cleveland. What are you doing, football fortune teller?
You know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to think outside the box.
All right.
One thing that Baltimore is doing very well, you have to agree, is running the football. I could see them maybe looking at a receiver here, but I'm going to solidify the interior of my offensive line, and I'm going to go with Booker, the offensive guard from Alabama.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, find a guy that fills a hole and that you like a lot.
Thanks.
Good job, FFT. You get a stamp of approval from 30-year NFL vet, Ricky Spielman. I love the sad thing is, if you're watching this or listening, Rick didn't had no idea who I was when we first came on together. A guy with hair, I believe, is what you said.
No, I thought you were it's almost a version on a more mature version of Ken from the Barbie movie.
Oh, right. Ken in his elder years. All right. The Philadelphia Eagles are picking at 24. Debo, do you want to offer some insights into what you're thinking? What would make you happy? You did a pretty good job last year. I think you were on Cooper DeJean pretty early. You liked Quinyon Mitchell when Rick talked about him a year ago this time roundabout. Anything catch your fancy?
Give me someone on the line. Either side of the line.
Offense, right?
Or defense. Defense could use
how many defensive linemen do these guys need?
I mean, I don't think Jordan Davis is long for this team. I don't think he's going to be getting an extension after his third year. So,
oh, wow. That feels not great. What are your thoughts on that, FFT?
Debo is the Philadelphia Eagle expert. How can I ever go against anything he says? I would never do that to Debo and disagree with any of the things he says about the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm telling you, this costume makes him a completely different person. I'm sort of liking this thing. When he starts acting out, we got to put him in a costume real quick. All right. If you're okay with that, then Debo, I'm going defensive line then. I just keep stocking that unit because Deion Walker out of Kentucky is a grown man, and him lasting this long is pretty crazy in my eyes. He can take over games on the inside, and he won't need to do that along with the other defensive linemen they have, especially Jordan Davis. I didn't know that. I haven't watched a lot of Jordan Davis. That's interesting to me. So let's go get Deion Walker, Kentucky defensive lineman, Philadelphia Eagles. How do you feel about that football fortune teller?
Oh, I love it. I love the pick Debo made. It's incredible that he's still sitting there and just fell into Debo's lap.
All right, FFT. Next up, a team that I used to work for. They're still paying me though, so joke's on them. Minnesota Vikings at 25. What are you doing there, sir?
Throw the corners up. I still they have a bunch of veteran corners. You know, the unfortunate death of
Tyree Jackson. Yeah, that's terrible.
I got to go back and look at corners. I got to still try to fill this need because they have a bunch of stopgap guys there right now. So I if me as a fortune teller and Debo that's running the show with a computer machine, because of the ability to play man coverage, I know he's coming off an ACL. Minnesota has not been afraid to take guys coming off of injury. So I'm going to go with the East Carolina corner. Ravel.
Javon Ravel, cornerback. Out of ECU, he tore his ACL in September, I believe. So he should be pretty. I mean, if everything goes according to plan, you imagine by the middle of the summer, into the summer, he'll be working out with the team. I don't know how far along in terms of playing time, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a redshirt year, is what I'm saying, right?
No. I think if getting, or unfortunately, but fortunately, toward very early in the season. So
right,
give them 9 months out, before they're usually fully back. By training camp, he should be really ready to go.
All right, Debo, let's take a look at I'm going to go back to back here. Let's take a look at the cornerbacks just for giggles here. Let's see who's left. All right, Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame, is going to the Buffalo Bills. Going to add some depth there, and hopefully he's healthy enough and ready to go in time for next season. But he was having a good start to his season before the injury there. 27, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, both quarterbacks are on one-year deals. We're at the bottom of the first round. Russ Wilson's playing well. Justin Fields made some progress before they decided to replace him. Football fortune teller, what are you doing?
They're going to keep one of these quarterbacks. They're not going to
draft
one of these guys to replace a Fields or a Wilson. So I believe in the future that they will definitely have one of these quarterbacks that they currently have on the roster for next year. I think that they can definitely continue to build up that offensive line. I know they got a lot of injuries there. They can do receiver. But I am going to, because of the style of play, I am going to go with the left tackle from Minnesota, Ursery, but I'm going to move him over to the right side.
Okay. Man, not only does changing costumes make you nicer, but you pronounce every name correctly. This is nuts.
It's the bird. I got a little birdie talking in my head today.
The birdie's telling you the secret. That's amazing. I think we found the life hack here, Debo. All right, next up, the Green Bay Packers. Not only do they have one quarterback, Jordan Love, they have another starting quarterback in Malik Willis, who has outperformed a lot of people in that draft class that went ahead of him. But they have needs elsewhere. I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. Debo, let's look at the defensive line once again. So we have Walter Nolan, have Talik Williams. I haven't watched LT Overton yet, but what's your scouting? I'm not going to take him. I'm just interested in the scouting report on him, football fortune teller, because I know you've watched him.
He is a high upside guy, but needs to come back for another year.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough. You know who I'm going to take here?
Who?
And we haven't talked a lot about him. Oh, man. Am I going to do this? I'm going to do it. I'm going to take, and you may have to scroll down a little bit because this is a guy that I've watched, and he may not be yet on the national radar. TJ Sanders. There he is, out of South Carolina.
Ooh.
Defensive lineman. He's flat. They have some dudes on that defense. We've talked about Kyle Kennard, of course. But TJ Sanders is a young man that I like a lot. And I think he feels a need in the middle of that defense for the Packers.
I really respect that pick because you're not listening to the mainstream media and the outside noise. You're going truly off your board. And if you have a hunch, I really respect you going with that hunch. And I think it's going to be an excellent pick.
Thank you. I appreciate that, football fortune teller. You know what I forgot to do? I meant to say yeah, no to the start every sentence. I forgot to do that.
Well, you got to live in Ohio for most of your life to be able to pick that slang up.
Yeah, I'm still a newbie at being Ricky Spielman. All right. 29th pick in the draft goes to the Washington Commanders, a team that I single-handedly saved, and I'm willing to humbly own that. All right, football fortune teller, 29. What are the Commanders doing? A team that does have some needs, but, man, you wouldn't know it by looking at the win-loss record.
No, they got to address the defensive side of the ball. They can go corner here, but I do not like the corners left. They can go the edge. So I am going to go say edge rusher. I am going to say, boy,
You know what you're going to say. You might as well say it.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to take Princely.
What? If I get a check canceled over this football fortune teller, we're going to have some words.
I think he's long. He's athletic. I did like him off last year's tape. He's
at Florida last year.
Yep.
Now at Ole Miss.
Guy has tremendous upside for his length. I'm going with a high ceiling guy.
Yeah, he's a good player. We haven't even talked about him yet, but we'll get around to that. I'm not even sure we talked about him last year because he did return to school.
He did. He was one of my guys I hit in summer scouting school that I really liked.
Great. I love it. Ole Miss transfer from Florida. All right. Houston Texans at 30. And this year's been a little rougher than last year, a lot in large part because of injuries. They struggled up front. The offensive line has been hit or miss. So let's see, Debo. Let's look at some interior offensive linemen and see what's left. Oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to right there. Jonah Savanaya out of Arizona. He can play outside, but his future might be inside. And either way, you plug him in there and figure it out later because he offers some respite from what's going on with the interior offensive line for the Houston Texans. So offensive tackle out of Arizona, Jonah Savanaya. Kick him inside if you want to and see what happens. All right. As the only Spielman on this podcast, I humbly will allow football fortune teller to pick for the Detroit Lions, where Chris Spielman, the handsomer of the two Spielman brothers, if I'm being honest, I'll just be honest, handsomer, smarter, not as good a head of hair though, but he works for the Detroit Lions. Football fortune teller, what are we doing in Detroit?
This is an easy one for me. It's amazing how Prince went right before the guy that I think Detroit will really like. And I'm going with our pass rusher from Ohio State to pair up with Hawkinson. So now I have two Big Ten pass rushers and JT Tuimoloau.
Have you talked to him and asked him how to say his name, or are you just guessing?
I'm just guessing.
JT Tuimoloau.
Tuimoloau. Lau?
I think so. We'll get it. You're talking to Ricky Spielman. I don't know how to pronounce anyone's name. What are we doing? He is a good player, though. But it is interesting that Jack Sawyer, in your eyes at least, may have eked ahead of him by an inch or two, right?
Yes. Yeah. Just based off what I've seen to date.
All right. Finally, the Kansas City Chiefs are on the clock. And a situation where maybe another team wants to trade up and get one of these quarterbacks, or they could take best player available. Last year, they traded up a few spots and got Xavier Worthy, who's been okay. I mean, he's undersized, and that's some of the concerns that the real Rick Spielman had coming out, and we've seen some of that, but we've also seen the speed. Scroll down, Debo. Let's see who best available is. Non-quarterback. I don't think we're going to take a – would we consider Isaiah Bond here?
Little slot receiver, brings speed.
How many guys like that do we need, though? I'm gonna pass on Isaiah Bond. I like him. I just said we already have him on the on the roster. Excuse me. Okay. Walter Nolan's still there.
Use the bird. It's staring at you right in the face.
Nuss Bus is there. Cameron Williams is still there. He's a guy that plays on the opposite side of Kelvin Banks. Oh boy, Harold Perkins is there. He's the guy that has the ACL from LSU, but he'll be ready. Josh, oh man. What are your thoughts on Josh Simmons? Do you think he should come back, or is the left tackle from Ohio State who got hurt in the Oregon game?
I think he needs to come back because this was his first year where he really jumped out on tape. Most of the players that I've seen. But if he's going this low, and even if he etches into the bottom of the first, if he comes back next year and plays the way he was playing, he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah. Yep. I'm going to take Debo. Let's take Harold Perkins out of LSU, the linebacker who also unfortunately tore his ACL, but he should be good to go once we get around to the summer. You're making a face, FFT. What's your concern?
I want you to do the Emory Jones.
He has not played well, and I don't know. I know he's athletic. He's a guy that I would like to see come back as well. That's why. I understand. Like, I also thought about Connor Williams, but I think he should come back to right tackle for Texas.
Yeah.
They're raw, and that's a concern. Let me ask you this. Do you get better as a raw offensive tackle going back and playing one more year at college, or learning on the job with spot duty in the NFL with NFL coaching?
to me, most of the offensive linemen that stayed in school come back and ready to go and play at a higher level as a rookie if you get that 3 or 4 years of starter experience at the collegiate level.
Right. So that was my thinking there because I did consider both those guys. I wish
it's amazing how you think just like I used to think.
The magic's in the hair. That's what I'm realizing.
Can I just say one thing? I've got the most extreme headache. This is the most uncomfortable hat that I've ever worn in my entire life. I feel like I got spikes going through the middle of my skull right now.
That is a wild look. I give you credit for dressing up like football fortune teller, aka Cam Newton, and doing it for an hour.
Yeah.
And we got to do it again on CBS Sports HQ Spotlight around 3:25, I believe, Eastern time. So if you're around for that, tune in because I'm going to go do some push-ups real quick and get the guns going. All right, Debo, I think we're done, right? 32 picks in the book.
Yeah, thank you for your effort today, Rick. Ryan, I think you should consider this because this is the nicest he's been to you in nearly 200 shows.
Absolutely. This is a very revealing podcast in a number of ways, so I appreciate that. Maybe I'll just change my name to Ricky.
Yeah, well, it's hard for me to not like you. It really is. I can't.
Like you're looking in a mirror.
Yeah, it is. I can't take it.
Oh man. So yeah, I didn't spill coffee. You said we'll say quickly. So when you were in Minnesota, they would dress up as you and they would tear their shirts, spill coffee on themselves. Did anyone wear wigs, or that was just the extent of the costume?
No, they didn't go to the wig route, but they had the walk down pretty good. As people were walking around, they looked like zombies and from The Walking Dead.
All right, that's it. Is Sanibel a hot spot for Halloween or no?
I'm going to give credit to Jenny Jones for making it a hot spot for Halloween. Because they had unfortunately, I was not able to attend. They had a big Halloween party on the island, and from what I hear, there are some outstanding costumes, and people go beyond down here on Sanibel at these adult Halloween parties.
I will say there's not a large population of kids running around, I would guess.
No. I would consider myself one of the younger members of the. Yeah.
So you'll be going trick or treating, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, I will. I'm going. Yeah, but it's at from 4 to 5. That's because everybody goes to bed at 7.
Yeah, I'm down with that. All right, before we go quickly, Debo, are you any Halloween parties in your future, or are you not? Is that not your thing?
Yeah, we'll see where the wind blows.
The night takes you.
The creeper.
The creeper. All right, that's it. Episode 194 in the books. 6 away from 200, which is crazy. Also, almost a few weeks away from 2-year anniversary of the show. Look forward to that. As always, thanks to the football fortune teller. I'm Ricky Spielman. Thanks to Devo for producing, and we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a great Halloween, everybody.